So now I'm going to talk about suffering. I think our baseline in life is to suffer. If we take all the pleasures away, all the distractions, if we just stay with ourselves, we notice like how much like suffering we might already like feel or that we endure. Where, yeah, we can have our short-term pleasures. We can eat something nice and whatnot, and that maybe makes us temporarily happy. But it doesn't take away from the suffering that we might have. That's what I see. And I think everyone carries, to an extent, some suffering, and it might be to whatever area, field. It's different for everyone. Like for some it's maybe finances where they feel some suffering over, or it might be a relationship. Some people suffer because they want to do something and they can't. Some people could suffer because they would like to have something that they just don't have. And I think oftentimes we then go about doing things in order to no longer suffer. So in that with that kind of idea where we say like, once I have that, I do no longer have to suffer. Where you could say like, oh, once I have that girlfriend, I no longer have to suffer. But that's incorrect, because you could have a girlfriend that makes you suffer. You could have like not a good girlfriend, then you suffer. So you can pick. You can basically say, you know what, you suffer maybe because you want a girlfriend and don't have one, or you could suffer because you have a girlfriend and it's not a good girlfriend to have. Or for a woman, I guess the same. The woman has then a boyfriend that's not good. I see it even growing up for myself, where like when I grew up I saw things that made me suffer. There were things that I wanted that I couldn't have that would make me suffer. I think everyone has it. Like some people might suffer because they don't have that girlfriend, they don't have that money, they don't have the vacation, they don't have the free time, they don't have or they have something that I don't want, you know. But they might have something that they rather not have. Maybe health related. So it could be also environment related, where you say, you know what, like because it's minus 30 degrees, it's freezing outside, there are like storms, snowstorms, and like you have to be outside in order to get your car out of the snow or whatever, and it's there's some suffering involved in that too. Or if you have to like live through that. The same with heat. Maybe where you have 30 or 40 degrees and you have no AC, you have to kind of like, are you in the desert, you know, then you suffer in that fashion. That's environment related, so you can suffer regarding that too. You can suffer not having food, you can suffer not having water. You can suffer because like you're losing something that you held dear. So you might lose something and then you suffer because of that. But it's kind of like inevitable. Like in life, it's inevitable to suffer. Like, suffering is part of life. And it almost seems like the baseline from which we go. We feel so much suffering over one point or one aspect that we want to do everything we can in order not to suffer in that area anymore. So, let's say like someone wants a girlfriend, so he suffers. And then maybe he can become the person that he needs to be, and that he needs to change himself in order to have that woman. Although I don't really think that works that way either. So suffering is inevitable. And weirdly enough, I think like the more we can just allow ourselves to suffer, the easier it is, the easier it becomes, the less we feel burdened by it. Where we say like, oh, that shouldn't be part of my life. Says who? Says who? Who says like suffering should not be part of your life? Everyone has to suffer. I know it's not the happiest, positive kind of like thing, but it's a part of life, right? I'd still try to find positive about it. So for me, it's not so much a question to whether or not like suffering is part of life, because it is. Like there's no way around it. Like, and if you solve one thing, it doesn't change something else. Let's say like you suffer because your finances are not correct or not right. Then you fix that, but then you suffer in one other field. Then it's maybe because you have a relationship that's not good for you. So then you suffer in that area. So it's just because you take away the suffering from one area doesn't take it away from another. You can be in the raw elements and suffer there. You can be taken all things that all comforts, that you got used to, and then that's how you suffer. So let's say like you like to have your water, you like to just have a tap where you can like open up and get the water, where you can have like just a shower, or the comforts of just stepping in a shower, or you might like the comforts of just having electricity where you can plug something in and you have lights, or you can have the comforts of having like light bulbs where you like just put a switch over, flip a switch, and then you have light. You can have the comforts of food, where you say, you know what, like you can choose what you want to eat, so you can have that. So you have some choice maybe there. Maybe that's a comfort that you have. When maybe not, you could be in a place where you don't even have a choice in what you eat, and then you could suffer there. But let's say like all those comforts, if you take all those comforts away, you suffer. Not taking comforts away can put someone else, or can put you in suffering too. So it's not so much just about what you want that you don't have. It could be also about things that you lose, that you took for granted, or maybe you don't even take it for granted, but you lose them anyway. You no longer have them. So yeah, maybe you could lose your future, you could lose your dreams, you could lose um, yeah, there's so many things you could lose and suffer over that. So you can't. I think suffering is part of life. Going through life thinking it's all just happy and rosy and everything is good is that's a false assumption that life would just be like that. Eventually, I think like everyone has to suffer. Everyone loses something that they hold dear. Everyone is gonna lose some comfort at some point, or is gonna have some struggle or some hardships thrown into their life, or is gonna have having things fail maybe or fall apart. And I think there's also some death coming from that. So who would you be as a person if you don't have that? If you don't have that death to yourself, to having gone through some things. They're like the worst thing that before happened to you was not getting a lolly or getting like you're getting something small. So on the other side I thought like, so what's the positive about it? What's the positive about it? So I think like maybe the suffering is also meant to make us more empathetic with other people who do not have certain things. Or to understand how things can be difficult. It's like we can emphasize more with other people having gone through like difficulties ourselves, or having gone through certain things. So I guess that's a side effect. I'm not sure if I would say it's something positive, but I guess that's a side effect that comes from it. I see a lot of people that kind of try to suppress their suffering, and I suppose they do that with drugs, with maybe alcohol, when they feel like torn apart, or maybe they are torn apart, and their only way to kind of handle it, or I guess cope with it, is to drink. Yeah, I think we need to get rid of the notion that like we're not supposed to not suffer. I don't know if we ever get to the point where we not suffer. So from what I see, like we can obviously do some things that help us to not suffer as much in some areas. Although we have not control over everything. Like there can come things into our life that we have no control over, or like things happen in our life that we have no control over that will cause suffering. then we have some control over some things. But I think ultimately we just have to accept that we're here to also suffer. I wish it would be positive. Yeah. I don't know. I wish I could make it positive in some way or another, but I think reality is we have to suffer over something always. Well, maybe not always, but it's inevitable that we're gonna encounter suffering in our life, or that we suffer over something. So, yeah. So then we have suffering, and then we have also imprisonment, feeling imprisoned, in the sense that we cannot change certain aspects. So, let's say your life falls apart, you have no control over that. Like, you can try to save it, or save yourself, or try to like work against it, but if your life is falling apart, it's falling apart, you know? That's one thing. Maybe it's a business, or your relationship. Yeah. So then, what I then think is that we are here also to recognize the suffering, our own as well as the suffering of others, and maybe help to reduce the suffering in society or with other people.